Hey everybody, welcome back to Little Kids Rock, Start to Rock Keyboards. This lesson is going to focus on suspensions. Now we know from being in school that suspensions are usually a bad thing. Aren't they, Jimmy Steiner?
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about being suspended from school. We're going to talk about using chords to make suspensions so that chords can sound even cooler. 3 kinds of suspensions are on this card. Number 18. It's on the back of your diatonic chords card. Let's just listen to each one first, and then we'll zoom in. The first suspension on the card is a 2-1 suspension. It sounds like this. The second suspension, as you can see here, is labeled the 4-3 suspension, and that sounds like this. And finally, the last suspension on the card is labeled a 6-5 suspension, and this is how it sounds. Now let's take a closer look and see exactly what we're doing. Looking at this card is a little weird at first until we get used to how to use it. I've lined up the bottom column of notes with the letter C. The whole idea behind this card is that if I'm playing a major chord, each one of these notes in the chord can move up to the note above it and back down. So look, I can do that with the bottom note of the chord. I can do that also with the middle note of the chord. It can move up and back down. I can do that with the top note of the chord. This note can move up and back down. Now, as the card says, the top row says 2-1 suspension. What does that mean? The second note here is just moving down to the first note. The second row says 4-3 suspension. All that means is this note in the middle, the third, 1, 2, 3, is moving up to the fourth and coming back down to the 3. A 4-3 suspension. And finally, this last row says 6-5 suspension. And again, all that means is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 is going to go up to the 6 and back down to the 5. A 6-5 suspension. So let's do each one slowly. Here's the 2-1 suspension again. Sounds nice. Let's try the 4-3 suspension. And finally, the 6-5 suspension. One more time. The 2-1, the 4-3, finally the 6-5. Now mixing them all together, it sounds pretty cool. The whole time I'm only jamming on this one chord. The chord is never changing, but the suspensions make the chord sound so much cooler. Well, that wraps up what we have to say about suspensions. Have fun playing them on the chord progressions you've learned in previous lessons.